Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things, and welcome to another video, and welcome back to my TBR Advent Calendar. My TBR Advent Calendar, my Vlogmas this year, is very kindly sponsored by Serious Readers, who are a great company who make amazing reading lights like the one I have here, and I will leave more information about them down below, as well as the offer code I have on at the moment. And I'll also leave a link to the introduction video where I talk about what the TBR Advent Calendar is and what I am doing at the moment. But basically I'm just picking a short book from my TBR every day in December. So today's book, let me reach down to my TBR Advent Calendar and find out what we have. We have, ooh, interesting. We have So Long a Letter by Mariama Barr, translated by Modupe Bode Thomas. I think this is translated from the French. Yeah, this is a novel from Senegal, first published in the 1970s. So I think this would be a really interesting one. This is another one I picked up in Haugen in September when I was book shopping and looking for more international literature. And this is quite short. It is, yeah, it's 131 pages, but the font is quite a lot bigger than some of the books I've been reading this past few weeks. And I assume from the title that it's in the form of a letter. Yeah, which I think will be quite interesting. So yeah, looking forward to this a lot, and I'll let you know how I get on with it. Good morning, hello. So I did finish reading So Long a Letter last night, but I didn't manage to have time to film a clip. So this video will be up a little late, but yes, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was fantastic. I also realised I've now dressed to match the cover, which is fun, but anyway. So yes, this is a really interesting novel, Senegalese novel from the 1970s. I think I probably said that earlier yesterday. And it is basically a woman writing a letter to her friend after the death of her husband, who she has been estranged from for several years since he took a second wife, and she writes to her friend about kind of both of their experiences in marriage and their lives now. Both of them had husbands who took second wives who were much younger. The friend she's writing to divorced her husband after that, but the narrator didn't, but never saw him again, and now he is dead, and she's kind of reflecting on their lives and thinking about her children and sort of moving forward with her life. And I thought this was a really powerful novel, really interesting look at the position of women in Senegal in the 1970s and earlier, and a really interesting look at social change. The narrator, she was a teacher and she's had a career, and she talks about kind of how that makes her different from people of previous generations, but also how her children growing up now are of a different generation, and kind of how things are changing in Senegal and how she feels about that. And it's also a sort of love letter to friendship, because she's writing this very long letter to her friend and kind of saying friendship is more important than marriage. And there's some really empowering moments in it. She talks about learning how to drive and learning to be comfortable going to the cinema on her own and stuff like that, in really empowering ways. So just sort of really nice details. And yeah, I really liked this. I thought this was very powerful, very well written, really interesting novel, really interesting story, as well as really interesting engagement with feminist ideas. I feel like I need to seek out and make a bit of a study of post-colonial feminist novels, because the few that I have read I have loved so much. Thinking of well, especially Nervous Conditions by Tsitsi Dangarembga, which I read probably about this time last year, but also earlier this year I read The Joys of Motherhood. I can't remember the author's name right now, but I'll leave that down below in the description as well. I feel like this is an area of literature that I find really interesting, and that I feel like I need to read more of. There we go, another successful day of the TBR Advent Calendar. I will wrap up and post this video at some point today, maybe this evening, we'll see how I go. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with another bookish video.